I can predict your future. No tea leaves, tarot cards, or crystal ball needed. All I have to do is to watch you for a few days, and then I can predict your future. How, you ask? Your habits. You see, we do not determine our future. We determine our habits, and then our habits determine our future. Once I know your habits, then I'll know your future. Habits are the most subtle, misunderstood, neglected, abused, and yet powerful forces in our lives. So subtle that we take them for granted. So powerful that they are a predictor of someone's success and future. Psychological studies reveal that 95% of everything we feel, think, do, and achieve is a result of a learned habit. We're born, of course, with instincts, but we are born with no habits at all. We develop those over time. Beginning in childhood, we learned a series of conditioned responses that led us to react automatically, as in without thinking, to most situations in our day-to-day life. Living automatically has definite positives, of course. You can't consciously think about every step of each ordinary task all the time, making breakfast or driving the kids to school or getting to work and so on. Your life would grind to a halt. Our habits, thus, and our routines allow us to create minimal conscious energy for everyday tasks. They help keep us sane and enable us to handle most situations reasonably well. And because we don't have to think about all the mundane, we can focus our mental energy on the more creative and enriching thoughts. Habits can be helpful as long as they are good habits, that is. My dad used to use Larry Bird as an example to teach me about habits when I was a kid. Larry Legend, as my dad would call him, was one of the greatest professional basketball players of all time, but he wasn't known for being the most athletically talented or gifted player. Did you ever see him play? Certainly not the most graceful or natural ease that you saw in a Magic Johnson or a Michael Jordan, or see today in a Kobe Bryant or a LeBron James. Yet, despite his limited natural athletic ability and grace, he led the Boston Celtics to 3 world championships and remains one of the best players of all time. How did he do it? It was Larry's habits, his relentless dedication to practice and improvement on his game. Bird was once the most consistent free throw shooters in the history of the NBA. Growing up, his habit was to practice 500 free throw shots every single morning before he went to school. With that kind of discipline, Larry made the most of his God-given talents and kicked the butts of some of the most gifted players on the court. Like Larry Bird, you can condition your automatic and unconscious responses to be those of a developed champion. With enough practice and repetition, any behavior, good or bad, becomes automatic over time. That means even though we have developed most of our habits unconsciously by modeling our parents, responding to environmental or cultural associations, or creating coping mechanisms, we can consciously decide to change them. It stands to reason that since you learned every habit that you have, you can also unlearn the ones that aren't serving you well. As Aristotle explained, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. If you want to be excellent, start at its source code, habits. So when researching the source code of one's success or failure, I found that it all comes down to habits. Thus the reason I wrote The Compound Effect, to discover what forms those habits, how to eradicate the ones that are pushing you in the wrong direction, and install the ones that you need to take you where you want to go. If you want more on that, certainly pick up a copy of The Compound Effect. It is the foundation which all your success will be built, or failure is caused. Change your habits, change your life.